Meeting to order at 6:30 PM on, what is today? May 11th. Sansi, can I get a roll call?
Robin Barker,
Here.
Cheryl Bigelow,
Here.
Judy Bory,
Here.
Cheryl Hall,
Here.
Pam Kraus,
Here.
Vivian Reisky is absent, and Vera Walters.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I'd like to request a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call?
Robin Barker,
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow,
Yes.
Judy Bory,
Yes.
Cheryl Hall,
Yes.
Pam Kraus,
Yes.
Vivian Reisky is absent, and Vera Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'd like to do a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Robin Barker,
Yes.
Cheryl Bigelow,
Yes.
Judy Bory,
Yes.
Cheryl Hall,
Yes.
Pam Kraus,
Yes.
Vivian Reisky is absent, and Vera Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Do we have any public comments? Don't see any. Let's go on to the next agenda item. Do we have any correspondence or communication? I guess that's a no?
No.
Okay. All right, Pam, would you like to give us the report for the month?
Yes, thank you, President Cheryl Hall and board members. Pleased to give tonight's librarian's report to you. I'm going to start off just talking a little bit about statistics. There were 3 different monthly reports that you were given in your packet, February, March, and April of 2023. I wasn't going to put those all on the screen because there's so many of them, but just kind of a rundown of visits to the library. February, which is a short month, did average 820 patron visits per day. March was 852, and then April dropped to 679, and I am believing that the reason for that is because the tax appointments only ran through April 15th or so. So that probably accounted for those upticks in February and March. Otherwise, the statistics were pretty similar to other months from last year and the beginning of this year. Lots of programs, lots of attendees, both for adults and kids. And did anybody have any specific questions about the statistics?
You're still doing the in-house computer classes, correct?
We are. We're doing a variety of different computer classes based on what we heard during the strategic plan from our surveys, and also based on the interest and expertise of our computer lab assistants. Smartphone photography was quite popular. Internet basics, not so much. Haven't had as many people attend that one, but we're kind of experimenting with different ones. And of course now, winter visitors are starting to return back to their home states. We'll see some of those programs drop off for a little bit, but then we'll bring them back.
Okay. And I was wondering about, like, maybe some instructions that would be really kind of informative for, our local people. And that one of those is like how to use QR codes, how to do different things with your phones, how to access the Libby and some of our different library programs that you have.
Yeah, we did do, let me go back to the stats here. We did have a couple on get to know your library apps. I have to see what months those were in.
I don't remember seeing that, I guess,
I want to say,
because I think that would be real useful, especially, and now that it's,
it could have been
quieter.
too that maybe nobody showed up and it didn't get
Oh.
put in, but let me check.
I remember seeing that.
I do remember seeing on the calendar.
Okay.
So we had Gmail and Google search in February. That
Uh-huh.
brought in 2 people.
Ooh.
That looks like the only one that had any stats for
Mm-hmm.
February. Let's look at March.
And maybe it's because I struggle so much with,
Oh, yeah, there it is.
with
Get
There it is.
technology.
Know your
Okay.
library apps.
Get to know
Uh-huh.
your library apps, one program in March with 3 people attending. Underneath that is Internet Basics with 4. So yes, thanks
Okay.
for reminding me of that one. So that would cover how to what the different apps do, what their names are, how to download them, how to navigate them. So it'd be Hoopla, Freegal, Libby, Canopy,
Just so many,
Universal Class.
just so many businesses and stuff are going to the QR codes, and so, and I know through volunteering at the chamber that a lot of people have issues trying to figure out how to use that QR code.
Oh, okay. It might be, yeah, I'm not an expert for sure.
Uh-huh.
I know, like with my phone, I can just use my camera app and point it at the QR code, and it'll take the picture and bring the webpage open, but I don't know if that's the same for all Android phones, and I don't know if it's the same for iPhones.
It is.
So,
Okay.
it is?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I will write that down for
Okay.
something to investigate for a future class, or to integrate it into one of our other classes that we have going.
Do any of the seniors from the from the Multi-Gen Center, do they come over for any of the classes?
Not that I'm aware of. We've gone over to them a couple times to tell, I know that Megan Carbine, our outreach librarian, she's gone over there a couple times to do something with them. I can't remember exactly what it was now. But I don't think they come over to us, and that could be for various reasons. I don't know if it's because they're eating over there. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
And they just don't want to leave. They're probably pretty comfortable.
Uh-huh.
But we have gone over a couple times to do various things with them. And of course, off the top of my head, I can't recall what they did. Let me see if it's on here. Even if it's on here, though, it's probably not going to say what the activity was.
Mhm.
But yeah, Megan has reached out to, I believe Jody Dutra over there is in charge of the senior programs, and they've done a couple of things in the past.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Were there other questions about any of the programs, stats?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say craft night was awesome.
I saw your photo.
Oh, I had so much fun.
Good. That was the last one, correct?
Yeah.
And it was like, there were a bunch of different crafts. You could do like
Oh, yeah,
flowers and
I
cacti
did the
and
bird feeder and.
the bird,
They
okay.
had the flowers from the cricket machine. Did I say that right? Is that what you call
Cricket,
it?
yeah.
I got to take that class too.
Yep, Megan Sparks, she does that one. But we have our resident expert sitting right here to my right. She's pretty amazing, so.
It's a fun thing to do.
And
Nice.
Bibliobites was good too.
I'm sorry?
Bibliobites was good too.
Which one?
It was
Air-
avocado toast.
Avocado
flavor,
toast,
yeah.
okay.
They do a great job.
Good. I missed that one.
I have
I-
a question.
I think they need stadium seats though.
I know.
We
And we need a
risers.
mirror over
Yeah, it was
the,
like the air fryer class. Oh my gosh, it was like out in the hallway. There was that many people for that class.
yeah, we'll see a couple slides on that in a minute, and I'll talk about that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the seed library. What does the figure there mean? Is that the number of packets that have been taken from the?
Yes, we do ask that patrons come up with their seeds to the checkout desk to check them out, just so we can keep statistics on them.
So in April, I see you handed out 542 seed packets?
Yes,
Wow.
it's gotten really crazy popular.
Did that include? I dropped off a bunch of like bulbs, like potatoes and onions. We got like a whole bunch of stuff at Salvation Army, and I brought like 2 boxes to you guys.
Yes, I did talk
Okay,
to
good.
Vicky about that, and I know that she had those. So I believe there were some that they were allowing because they weren't sure if they were heirloom or
Yeah.
they were just kind of giving them out
I didn't
without
want to
checking them out,
throw
just
'em
to,
out, you know?
yeah. But I know the ones that are in the statistics, at least, that most of those are ones that we get from Laver's group or from one of the vendors that we work with. So yeah, the numbers have definitely gone up. I think in the end of last year, it was more in the 200 to 300 range.
So that's not just from the volunteers that come in and stuff the seed packets?
No, that's what they do, but we have to purchase the seeds
Oh,
unless they're donated to us,
see.
yeah. Mhm.
okay.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to some highlights from the last couple of months. I told you at the February meeting that March 2nd, we had our ribbon cutting for the mobile library. And these are some photos from our event. We had about 40 people show up, and of course, we had Mr. Mayor Chip Wilson do the ribbon cutting with the scissors that didn't cut, so that was really funny. Luckily, we had backup pair of scissors, but they looked good for the photo opportunity. Since then, we have reached 250 people with the mobile library, either going to special outreach events or from doing our weekly mobile library route, which includes Aurora House, Brookdale, a couple of the RV resorts. Superstition Harley-Davidson has been in there, but there's a couple of them that really haven't been successful, so we're evaluating those and going to start to, once the summer months are done, she's going to go out one more month for June, and then she's going to take off for a couple months because of the summer heat. So we're going to reevaluate some of the stops and see who else might be interested in the community. So it's been very successful. The most successful visit was actually going to Head Start. They requested a visit, and 84 people showed up, so it was families and their kids. And the kids just loved, we have some pictures here of them. Here's at Aurora House and Superstition Harley-Davidson. Oh, I guess we didn't have that picture, sorry about that. There was pictures of the kids getting on there and looking through all the picture books, and they checked out a ton of material, so it was a really successful event. And one of our Fun Van educators went with Megan to the event, and she did a craft with the kids, and I think she read a story. So, yeah, we're really excited that the community's starting to get to know the mobile library. We've recently had another request for service from the TLC, which is the Learning Center preschool. So, yeah, it's starting to really gain traction, and of course now the summer months are coming, so we're going to have to slow down a little bit, but so far so good, and everybody's loving the collection that's on there. We're getting requests for other things to include that we weren't expecting, like Clive Cussler, for some reason, has been very popular, and we did not have a good stock of his novels on there, so it's great because everyone that comes can recommend titles to either be purchased for, or we can put them on hold and bring them to them for the next visit. And then in April, we did a preschool egg hunt, which we do every year. They put out, at least 1,000 eggs. It was probably closer to 1,500 eggs. And kids are able to go out to pick up about 10 eggs per kid. And inside, there's either a little treat or a little toy of sorts. And here's some pictures from that, where we had 260 people participate. And of course, we had the burro there again this year, very popular. And I love this little guy. He is so cute with his little shark fin. So that was the Easter preschool hunt. And then, of course, Bibliobites, everyone's favorite, our dynamic duo, Leah and Megan. This was, I believe, Air Fryer Essentials, where they, all together, including Facebook views and in-person attendance, was 330 people.
Wow.
I love their shirts.
Yes, I know. Yeah, those two are super funny. And then they also did one on avocado toast for April, or was it May?
April.
It was April, thank you.
This month is the mixology.
Is the mixology, that's right. And that drew in 191 views and live participants. This is a program called Read Better, Be Better. It's an organization out of Phoenix, a nonprofit, and they reached out to us early in the year about having the program be at our library, and we were very eager to participate because it's a literacy program where young readers, second to fourth grade, are paired with a middle schooler who is their leader, and they help them with their reading. So it's a great win-win situation for both the middle schooler who gets to take that leadership role and help the younger child with their reading skills and, grow that relationship. And then also for, of course, the younger kid to practice his or her reading skills. The program is currently not running for this month, but it ran for 3 months. We had 27 programs in total with 154 attendees. And then it's going to start a summer session from June 1st to August 3rd. If there's any middle schoolers out there that are looking to have a volunteer position with this, we train them on site on what they need to do, and we welcome any second to fourth graders to come in to practice up on the reading skills, which of course is most important in the summer months to avoid that summer slide. And I also told you at the last meeting about the Friends of the Library book sale that took place over the Lost Dutchman Days weekend. And this is Liz and Kay, two of the longtime wonderful volunteers that we have. And they were proud to report that the book sale brought in $1,012. And the bookstore was open at the same time as the special book sale. And during that month, the bookstore brought in $689. So a total profit of $1,700 was the month of February. They were very happy to clear out their storage unit and are once again filling it back up.
How often do they do that a year, or just come back?
That was, they haven't done a special event like this, I don't think since I've been with the library, so it's been at least 9 years.
Okay.
But they requested to do that, and yeah, we made it work. And they decided on the Lost Dutchman weekend because of all the other events going on. So yeah, it was very successful, so I hope they continue it. It's just a couple of hours to bring the materials out and use of our rooms, and we were able to shift programs around to other spaces or just cancel them for 1 week, and it's worth it because, of course, most of the donations, the money that they receive goes back into our library programs and collections, so it's the least we can do for them, and they love it, as you can see.
Well, and maybe a good time too would be in October, November,
Yeah.
when that group of winter visitors is here, because they're always looking for things to read or things to do.
Exactly.
And that would be another, good time to hit them, with this sale. This would be great. I bought a couple books myself, so.
Yeah, near the end, they were really just wanting to clear out some things, and I think they were doing buy two get one free or buy one get two free. Yeah, they were doing some crazy sales,
Went
but
too early.
did you? Well, you got the best selection, So. And then, were any of you able to attend the J.A. Jans visit?
Not this year.
It was really, really successful. They had so many people show up that J.A. Jans agreed to do a second session right afterwards.
Oh my.
So we quickly posted that on Facebook because there were some people showing up, there were no seats left, it was standing room only, and a lot of people couldn't stand, or the standing room also ran out. So she stayed for a second smaller visit, and she is just such a storyteller, and everybody really enjoyed her and having their picture taken with her. So on that program, we had, I had it down here somewhere.
There were a lot on that one.
We had a lot of people.
She didn't bring her dog this year?
She did not.
Oh.
She did not. Well, I failed to write the number down, but it was, I believe it was in the 300s.
I saw it
Oh.
on there somewhere.
Well, it's in
Yeah.
the statistics that you got too, so.
Yeah, 300.
Yep.
Wow.
And lastly, the summer reading program that we do every year. It's our probably biggest, longest running event that we do at the library, is coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's going to run from May 27th through July 9th. And May 27th is the day that families can begin registering on the Read Squared website that we have been using for the last few years. It's a way for them to track their reading online, and then when they come into the library, they just give us their names, and we're able to look up their stats and figure out what prizes they've earned. And the prizes this year are going to include an AJ Pool Pass or a multi-gen pass for a free day, free Bahama Bucks Icy, and all the finishers will once again get a free book from the Scholastic Book Fair, which we love doing that because they get to go in and go shopping, and it's so much fun. And that's obviously paid for by the Friends of the Library. Some other prizes are vinyl stickers, which I believe they're making on the Cricut machine. Beads on keychains and necklaces. We've done a beading program for past summer reading programs, and we had a lot of extra beads. We wanted to do it a little bit different this year, so the beads are just one of the prizes for the school-age kids. Preschoolers will, of course, get bubbles and rubber duckies. And teens actually were asked what they wanted for a prize, and guess what they said?
Stickers.
Well, they are getting stickers, but that's not what they said.
Books?
Rubber duckies. So you're going to see a lot of teens walking around with little rubber duckies. And they're also going to do drawings for prize packs of movie tickets, Amazon cards, wireless earbuds, and more. So stay tuned. There's lots to happen. Some of the big programs that are going to take place, one is called Friends Day, because of the theme being all together now. The kickoff, first of all, is June 1st, and it's called the Kindness Kickoff event. And then Friends Day with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell will take place in June, where there'll be live Peter Pan and Tinkerbell there from one of the princess groups that's in the valley, and there'll be activities to partake in and a photo booth. The Fantastic Fire Department will be on site in July, I believe it's July 15th, for hands-on fire truck activities, firefighter dress-up, and then everyone's gonna get soaked. So obviously that is an outdoor program. And a really interesting one that I'm interested in seeing is an artist and who is also an author. His name is Isaac Caruso. He's from Arizona. He has a picture book called Sam and Sarah, and it's the first picture book ever illustrated entirely with murals. And 52 walls across Arizona have been painted with his murals that tell the story of this Sam and Sarah. So he's going to read his book, and then he's going to lead the kids in an art project. I'm sure probably painting some sort of murals. So he's got a website too. You can go check out Isaac Caruso. So those are some of the programs that'll take place. So we're looking forward to that. And that concludes. Oh no, it does not conclude. I got some more updates, sorry. That's it for programs. If you've been keeping track of the city council minutes, you've probably seen that the library is soon going to be getting some solar panels and solar batteries. The council approved the installation of the solar panels and batteries. They're not going to be power supply reserve, but they're going to be a backup to keep emergency systems, internet, and communications running. So if one of our providers of internet service fails, per se, there's a second provider available. So the library has its own provider of internet services that is different than the city, so that's why we're getting the panels and the batteries. So we're still looking forward to getting scheduled with that, and it's supposed to happen before the end of the fiscal year. And then you might have also seen that the north wing of the library, which is where our nonfiction is shelved, we got approved to get new shelving in there. So the vendor that was awarded is AADS Office Solutions. They're out of Phoenix. And I've been talking to them, and we are hoping to get the project started right after summer readings, so mid to late July. We want to get it done before it starts to get busy again in the fall. And also, we're just really excited to get the shelving in there. So this is going to have shelving that is lower than the current shelving in there. The current shelving is like 86 inches tall. This will be more in this 70-inch range. It'll have 5 shelves on each unit. It'll make the room feel bigger. It's going to make better use of the space because a lot of our shelving in there currently is not being utilized because our collections have gotten smaller over the years. And it will also allow us to have room for some soft seating and some tables and chairs interspersed throughout that room instead of it just being along that side wall. And right now, seating is at a premium at the library. If you ever come in, almost all the time, every table is full. So we really need to get some more tables and chairs and soft seating. We're also going to be moving a lot of our collections around. We're going to have all of our DVD collection moved to the north wing. So that's going to include nonfiction DVDs and fiction DVDs. So when you walk in the library, you won't see the DVDs anymore. Instead, you're going to see fiction. The Mountain View room is going to be all fiction, including the large print. So we're going to do a lot of shifting, a lot of moving. We're really excited. The staff are really excited. They've been making maps and plans and trying to figure out. They keep asking me, when are we going to get the shelving? We're ready. We got ideas. Just hold on. It's coming very, very soon. So yeah, we're all really excited for that. And then we did have some retirements this past month. Vicki Durain, our adult services supervisor, she retired the first day of this month. So we were sad to see her go, but happy because she's got some new adventures coming up in her life. And also Craig Smith, who was a 15-year senior library assistant. He also retired at the end of April. Vicki's position will be opening quite soon, and Craig's we're going to hold off until the end of the summer because that position has some options in terms of perhaps what we want it to do. So we're kind of thinking about it. If you know Grace, I'm going to say her name wrong.
I'm not any better.
I say Tomasuki, but I know that's wrong. Grace T. over at the library. She was our full-time library page. She just got promoted to library assistant. And we have opened a new position, a part-time library assistant. Those interviews have taken place. Someone's been selected. That person is going to be helping Megan with the mobile library. And when they're not running the mobile library, they'll be doing other projects in the circulation department. So we've got a lot of moving and shaking going around at the library. Busy time of the year, lots of things going on. And that's the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
I know, well, it's been 3 months, so, there was a lot to cover.
Still, it's impressive.
Woo, yes.
All right, thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
That's why we have the best library around.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We don't have any old business listed, so let's go on to the new business. 123-246, setting of date and time in June for special board meeting to discuss and approve the 2022-2023 Library Board of Trustees Annual Report. Do you have any things you wanted to bring up?
In the past, we've always done it near the end of June to get in as much stats as we could from the month of June, but you might recall if you were on the board last year that we changed that. We're only doing our stats now up through the end of March, and June is going to be included with the next year. So it's really up to you, and we also changed the rule that that meetings have to be on the second Thursdays at 6:30. So it can be any day, it can be any time, just not before 8 a.m. Just kidding. And this is the meeting basically where I present the annual report and we go over that. So that's the main purpose of the meeting, but there could be other agenda items added.
Is there, so this meeting, does it have a regular time? I don't keep track. I just wait for Sansi to send me something.
Well, the bylaws say that we can have it any time, but because we're so used to this time and it seems to work for all of you, I've been keeping it on the second Thursday at 6:30. But this special meeting has to be at a different, or can it be it could be that day?
Sure.
And we just
could be
would,
that day.
we would have that in lieu of the other meeting?
We can do that as well,
We can.
yes.
Or
Okay.
you can have a special meeting and then have the regular
And then
meeting.
go into the regular.
Yeah.
Which
we
we
can-
probably wouldn't have a regular meeting, just,
Just do this.
I don't think I'd have enough information in the next 3 weeks to have another meeting, but
So would we like to hold it on the second Thursday of the month in June,
June 8th,
June 8th?
June 8th works for me.
Works for me.
works for me.
is it June 8th?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to hold the special board meeting on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30?
Mm-hmm.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call?
Robin Barker? Robin Barker?
Oh, sorry about that. Looking around like, who? I'm here, yes.
Cheryl Bigelow?
Yes.
Judy Bory?
Yes.
Cheryl Hall?
Yes.
Pam Kraus?
Yes.
Vivian Reisky is absent, and Vera Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The second item, 23-260, discussion and possible vote for a one-time courtesy deletion of all expired Apache Junction Public Library accounts 5 years or older with fees of $49.99 or less.
Yes, that's a mouthful. So I'm going to be doing a lot of explaining about this, so sit back and get comfortable, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm bringing this up, proposing this, and go over some background information. So first of all, my main reason for proposing a one-time courtesy deletion of fines on library cards after expired 5 years or more is because it's giving us another important reason to remove barriers from getting people into the library and getting them the access to literature and resources that they need. You're going to be astounded when you hear the numbers on how many people currently cannot use the library because of our policies, which makes sense, but because they've been going on for so long, you're going to be kind of amazed at some of the numbers, I think. The second reason to do it is kind of selfish on our behalf. It's to clean up our database. There's a lot of names in that database.
Sitting on the books.
Yes, and
As-
so
as-
cleaning up the books is important, but the main reason is to give people access. We're always looking at more ways we can get people into the library. We're talking about marketing. We're talking about, student library cards to get the kids access easily to library material. So this is just another avenue to open up those doors. So let me give you some background information. In 2020, the library board at that time forgave all overdue fines on accounts to increase access to materials and resources. So overdue fines are what you pay if you bring your items back late. So when we forgave them, it was 10 cents per day for books that people were charged, and I believe it was $1 per day for DVDs. It seems like an eon ago, but it was only just 3 years ago. So we stopped charging them, and all accounts that had overdue fines, those fines were all waived from those accounts. But we did keep in place that patrons were still responsible to pay replacement costs for lost items to hold them accountable, which is a common library practice, and I can't think of any library off the top of my head that doesn't do that. So this means that most of the fees that are on accounts right now are due to items that were not returned, or they were returned with damage, because we do charge damage to items. And then let me give you a little refresher on what our current policies and procedures are that relate to this topic. Patrons may not borrow items if they have overdue items. So that means even though we're not going to charge them, they still have an item that was due a week ago. We won't let them check out any more items until we get that one back. Or they have a balance on their account that exceeds $5. So if you think about a lost book, there's not a whole lot of lost books that are less than $5. So basically, if you lose a book, unless you pay for it, you can't have access anymore to the library. Another policy we have is that a parent or a legal guardian may not apply for a card for his or her child if that parent or guardian owes more than $5 on his or her own card. So there's no workaround. If you have a kid and you have over $5 due on your card, you can't get your child a card so that the family can have access. Another policy, library cards expire every year for all card holders. And this is one that we get a lot of grumbles about. Why do you make it expire every year? And we have one simple answer. Because of our population and people going in and out, moving all the time, winter visitors mostly, we need to keep our records as accurate as possible. People are changing phone numbers, changing addresses, changing email addresses. So this is the way that we keep that up to date. If they don't renew their card, then they can't use our services as well. So they won't be able to log into Libby, they won't be able to check out books, etc. Another policy, after 3 years of no use on your library card, and in that instance, most of them are, if you haven't used it for 3 years, it's expired. The card is deleted from our system. That is a Pinal County Library District policy that's been in place now for a little bit of time, and that's their way of keeping all of the libraries' patron database cleaned up. So after 3 years of no use, the card is deleted unless, and this is Pinal County's rule, unless there are fees on the account more than $10. Okay, so theirs is a little bit higher than ours. Ours is 5, theirs is 10. And lastly, if there are fees totaling $50 or more on a library account, an $11 collection agency fee is also added to the account. So if you lost a book and it cost $50, it now costs $61 because we're recouping that collection agency fee. And our contract with Unique, our collection agency, says that we cannot forgive their collection agency fees. So any account that is $50 or more, we really can't delete it because the collection agency fee's on there, and we have to keep that there because of our contract with them so that they can potentially get their money. So as you know, removing barriers to library access has been a very popular topic over the past 5 years or so. And I have found, in doing some research, that there are many libraries across the U.S. that, in addition to no longer charging overdue fines, such as us, they also have a method for deleting expired accounts. That includes replacement, loss fees, all of it. When their library cards, card holders have been expired a specific number of years. So a lot of the libraries I've talked to, they have a blanket rule. After 5 years, if there's no activity on the account, we don't care if there's $10 in fees on there or $500, we're deleting the account. A lot of them do that because it's either their policy for their specific library or library system, and I've talked to other libraries that do it because their state library directs them to do that. And then there's some other libraries that do that because it is part of their state statute of limitations. And I did talk to Joel about this, and we do not have such a statute for Arizona. So he said we don't have a need to delete those accounts because of anything to do with the law. So none of those reasons really pertain to us. But in my heart, I feel like there is a point where our patrons have been penalized for long enough in some cases where we need to consider the fact that even though they've lost an item, that a fresh start could be warranted. So a lot of these counts where, you know, we have sometimes people come in and they forgot they had a library card. It's been so many years, and they come up to get it, and we're like, oh, yeah, well, you lost a book in 2007. And, oh, well, how much is it? Well, it's, you know, it went to collections, and it's, you know, it's $49 or whatever it is. And, you know, they just can't afford it, or they don't value the library access enough to pay it. It's important to realize that it's unlikely we're going to collect on these replacement costs of 5 years or more. A lot of these people have probably moved out of the area. Some might be deceased. But by forgiving the lost material fees on these counts that have less than $50, we'll open the door to at least welcome a lot of these people back to the library. So the amount that would be deleted, and this is very rough. I tried to work with the county librarian on getting this information as accurate as possible. We talked to Polaris, who's our database, integrated library system database owner. And the report they originally gave me didn't include all fees. So I ended up running my own report, and I think I've got it pretty close to what it is. And the number I have come back with for 5 years or more is $95,252.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow. It's a chunk of change.
it is a big chunk of change. So I think this warrants a discussion, and I'm open to what you're thinking. But it's something I did want to get the wheels turning, and you know, and if we're not ready to make a decision on this tonight, at least it'll give us something to perhaps talk about at our special meeting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic, and go from there.
I have a question. Is there a ceiling on fines? Do we stop at the cost of the book or anything like that?
No, there's some accounts that have 20 lost books on it, so it could be, depending on how much, we charge the replacement cost. So whatever we paid for the book
Right.
is what we charge the customer.
All right. But
So it depends.
So if I lost a book, then the book could be a $24.95 book, but if I didn't pay any fees, it could go as high as $100. The fees would just keep
No,
building?
once the book
okay.
is lost,
Okay.
you would just owe the $24.99.
That was the
We don't
question.
add any processing
That was
cost,
the question.
but we used to. So a lot of the fine or the fees that are on these old accounts
Oh,
are processing charges
got it.
that are still there. I also found some of them some were damaged, missing parts, some were card replacement fees, which aren't a lot, like $1 or $2. A few were non-resident fees. So we charge $40 for non-residents. Today, we really don't offer that unless they pay the day that they're getting it. But I guess back then, there were some times where we charged their account the $40, but they could pay it at a later time, and they never paid it. So that is some of the fees as well. But the vast majority, I would say, 75% or more is the lost items.
On average, what is the debt each month or each year? Do we have like an idea of what most people are for these fees for each year?
I don't for each year.
That's
It would-
5 years or more, pretty much for what we're looking at.
Right now, we're looking at 5 or more. I can give you a little bit more information. I looked at 5. I broke it down because it was easier to do the report. I did 10 or more, and then I did 5 to 10, and then I added them together. So actually, 10 years or more was 1,716 accounts that were affected, that are still on our books, with a total cost of $37,492. So about a third, a little more than a third of the 95. The other portion is the 5 to 10 years expired, and that is 2,408 accounts. So in total, it's over 4,000 accounts, 4,000 individuals. And that was $57,759.49.
So-
And like I said, these are not, they're as close as I could get it. They're in the ballpark.
So the 95,000 is the accounts that you're talking about at this point for giving, is that correct?
That is what I'm proposing to forgive, would be 5 years.
And that was the
And older.
$95,000?
That was 95, yeah.
And how many accounts was that?
It is over 4,000 accounts, 4,024 accounts.
Wow.
But if you looked at 10 years and older, the money is less. 10 years and older is $37,492, and it's about 1,700 accounts. So there is the option, too, of considering possibly 5 might be too little, maybe go to 10, maybe not go at all, but yeah, I want to know your thoughts.
How many of all of this old debt, we'll say, how many of these clients have tried to come back?
There's no way of knowing. No way of knowing.
Are all of these accounts with the collection agency now?
No, none of these are.
Okay.
These 4,000 accounts are all
Because they're less than.
because they're less than 50. Anything that's $49.99, and I did see some that were exactly $49.99.
Wow.
They did not go to collections. Anybody that had a collection agency fee was removed from this list. So there's a lot more on top of this that owe money. I don't even know what that number is. It's probably double this. But this is ones that don't have collection agency fees tied to their accounts.
Geez, and I panic if I think my book's gonna be late.
I know.
Panic, you know that, you've seen me run in. It's not like,
I know.
Curious to
That's
know
a
how many
difficult issue. It really is.
It
There's-
is.
There's a morality involved here that I personally would have to think more about.
And that is
I
totally
mean, it's
fine.
like,
And
what is the message we're sending?
exactly. And that's why why I thought a one-time rather than making this a policy, because future boards or future thinking about libraries might not be the same. But if we wanted to do it once, we can do that. But yeah, it definitely, it goes against everything that we've set up our policies around.
Or if-
So
or-
there's no easy answer.
Or if they paid half, that it could be forgiven if they paid half of it or something, to where they're still held kind of responsible for it, but yet, you know,
I think that's it. It's the responsibility. What are we saying to people? We all have a responsibility in many things, and if you don't follow the responsibility, are you allowed the same as those who do?
Right.
Yeah, it's a difficult
It is. It is.
situation.
You know, we're in a very transient community where people move a lot. A lot of times people are like, I moved and I don't have any idea where this book is, and it could still be back there, or my kid took it to school and they lost it, or, everybody's got reasons. Not everybody can afford to pay. Some choose not to.
Right.
So, yeah, you are very
hard.
correct.
so is,
Sorry.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
By not forgiving any of this, what does that do to you guys? It sounds like this is interfering with your database.
No,
Oh, okay.
it's just, there's a lot of records in there. Anytime you can clean up something is great. But it's not like a dire situation or anything. Like I said, the most important, as a librarian, as somebody that, looks at the Library Bill of Rights as my job, it's more about the access, the equity, that kind of thing. But like Vera said, there is this isn't, just overdue fines. This is different. It's not, you brought your stuff back late. It's like, you didn't bring your stuff back at all.
Right.
So it is a different topic, but, like I was saying, checking in with other libraries across the nation, I was really surprised at how many, have this as a policy, and I'm sure it's not something they probably put right out on their website, but talking to them, in different forums and whatnot, it's something that they either do regularly or they have to do it because of the state that they're in. So,
What about doing like a volunteer? You didn't return this, but if you volunteer for this much, we'll pay off
Community service.
at the library.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have volunteers, we have all these events going on, we have kids that need help reading, we have lots
the
of
thing with
stuff.
volunteers, though, is
Less
that
liability.
volunteers go through background checks. We can have a one-time volunteer, somebody come in like for a one-time,
Well, for like the book sales, like helping get ready for those book sales.
Right.
You could have one a quarter that way and keep moving books or, out.
But also, that means then you would have to contact these
Yeah, I was
4,000
gonna say
accounts
that.
and say, hey, you owe X amount, and in order to clear your debt, you gotta volunteer on such
Yeah,
and
and I
such
know
day.
some kids, didn't because they don't have rides, and that's another scenario is, do they have a way to get to the library, or is it somebody old that got injured and they
Right.
can't drive, or are they in the hospital?
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's a wide area of scenarios on this whole thing.
So do you send out notices, I presume you do, that say your book's overdue or late or whatever?
Yeah, we do. They get 3 notices, and then the notices, they stop. There's probably a way that we could send out, if we worked with Polaris, our database people, there's probably a way that we could work with them. We would probably have to pay them, but there's probably a way that we could send out another notice of some sort.
Well, if you
I'm
give-
sure a lot of them would bounce back, or the numbers wouldn't be valid or whatnot, but it is something that I can investigate for sure.
Or we can just give everyone a second chance. Wipe it clean.
Yeah, but if you give them
Well,
a second chance and they don't do it again.
But it's
Yeah.
it's a one-time deal.
Yeah,
That's
But
it. It's a
you-
one-time deal. So like, you
But
get your
you
second
still-
chance if you screw up after
but then they
that.
have to track it all though, too. That's
Yeah,
another thing.
that becomes a
That's a lot.
labor intensive to the max. And
So you'd still have to keep those names in there.
And then you have to
That would-
flag them and everything,
yeah.
saying, hey, you already got a notice, you
Yeah.
don't get another chance, sorry. They don't need 2 moms, they have 1, so.
And a number of these people, I won't say a lot because I have no clue, but it would appear to me that some of these people are transient. And there's no way you could contact them. Not
Yeah,
really.
it's possible. It's very possible, yeah.
Yeah,
Or they don't live in Arizona anymore, or
right. They've left the state or what have you. It's a shame that we couldn't narrow that part down a little bit, but.
I
yeah.
know.
Or maybe please come in and talk to us about your overdue books. Maybe try to bring them back into the library and,
Mhm.
I'm going off the fact that these are 5 years or older.
Yeah.
It's expired for 5 years or longer. I doubt that they're regular visitors, that we're probably gonna be able to track them back.
I would agree.
I'm not sure how many people it will actually to track back in. Maybe there's a small percentage.
Yeah.
I suspect this is mostly clean the information out, understand you're never gonna get that money back, and move on. That's what it feels like to me.
And it very well could be.
So would you notify these people that their responsibility has been waived in order to bring them back to the
I would like
library?
to, part of me would like to, the thing is, we don't have, our system, at least our local permissions that we have with our database, we don't have the power to do that. I would have to work with, the name of, Polaris is the name of our circulation system. I would have to work with with that company to see if they could do something. But like I said, it would probably cost, I don't know what they would charge me for that, but there's probably a way to do it, but there's nobody on our staff that has that type of, and it could be super labor intensive. I don't really know.
They might even have restrictions
So
on
do you
that kind of
still
thing.
have people coming to the library that have fines and you turn them away?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
I wouldn't say I encounter one like every week or anything, but and I'm not out on the service desk as much as some of the staff, but yeah, I mean, we do.
So what I was thinking is if you waived the fines but didn't notify anybody and somebody came to check something out and you let them, they would never know that it had been forgiven. They would just be able to use the library.
They'd have to get a new library card though too, because we do it every year, so that would be the one thing, wouldn't it? Because they can't get a new library card, can they?
Well, the accounts, yeah, they would, because the account would be deleted.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even show up in the system. I think most of them know that they have something, which is probably why they don't come back.
Why they don't go back to the library.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
It's like when you borrow a friend money, they stay away from you until they
Yes.
pay, because they don't want to
Yeah.
pay, so it's
right.
the best way to get rid of somebody.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It works, trust me. I do a little bit.
That's very good.
Do,
There's a lot
do,
of madness.
do you send it out by email, or do you send it out by snail mail, or?
It depends on what the customer, how they set up their account when they get their card.
Because,
So we always ask them, what's the best way to notify you, send you notifications? And now it includes text, so it could be a text, it could be, none of these accounts have text. It's either email or phone or mail.
okay, because if it's snail mail, at least you would get it back saying that the person's moved, or the person's no longer in this, getting mail at this post office.
Right, and we do that. When we send out notices and we get the mail back, we have somebody on our staff actually go into the accounts and note that they're no longer at that address, and they restrict the account so that we know that we need to check address again when they come back, if they come back in to renew their card. The report I ran, I couldn't tell which accounts were those, but some of those are those accounts.
I'm getting, I'm sorry, go ahead, Pam.
Question is, how hard would it be to pull up a report to find out which ones actually came back saying they don't live there? How hard would that be for you?
Will you repeat that?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
You talk fast.
I know. So that report that you did, how hard would it to add to that of those people that said the address is no longer valid? Is that a quick, easy report for you to pull, or no?
I don't know a way to know if it's valid.
Okay, there isn't one on there that says this is restricted until you get updated address.
Oh, if it's in a restricted status, I think that's a filter we can add to it. So I probably could figure that out.
I'm kind of getting the sense that there's still a lot of questions to be.
Yeah,
to be
but that's
answered.
just for the people that have mail. If they have a phone call,
Or a text.
yeah, none of these have text, because we didn't have text option until like 2 years ago. But if it was a phone call that failed with our phone, what's it called, when they call and leave you a voicemail? Yeah, there's no way for us to know that bounced back. So yeah, I know this is an interesting
Dilemma.
and yes, kerfuffle.
So do we want to consider it to think about it and then reevaluate it at the next meeting?
Or the following meeting, since the next one will be the budget.
I say in two months.
In 2 months? Okay. Do I need to do a motion on that?
Yeah, just table it.
So that would be added to the, July agenda?
For 2 months, so, okay, so not next month. You want to have some more time? Yeah. Okay.
Special meeting next.
So are there some specific things we want to have Pam go do or data that you've been, hopefully you've been kind of saying, okay, this is something I need to go look into? Or do we need to give her some things that we would like to know before we make this decision?
Some direction on what we need?
I'd like to have I'd like to have a better idea of the population we're talking about,
How many?
if there's any way to do that.
What, are you meaning like,
Like,
are they juvenile cards, or are they
Right.
young adult, or are they adults?
That kind of thing.
Or seniors, or?
Well, we don't have a differentiation between
Yeah.
adults and seniors, but because the adult is responsible for the juvenile's card.
The thing with the juveniles, though, if we have a procedure where if there's a lost item on a juvenile card, if they come in after they've turned into an adult and it's still on there, we transfer the charge to the adult account and let them have the fresh start, because they were juvenile and they obviously wasn't their fault that they didn't return it. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I know.
It
Are they
is-
allowed to like send me, after they've thought about this for a while, are they allowed to like email me things to investigate rather than them trying to
As long as they don't include.
think of it
everybody
all
else.
right now?
Yeah, as long as they don't include everybody else in the email,
As long as they do?
as long as they
No,
don't.
no.
Oh, don't, I was gonna say. Public, because of the public
Public.
Public record.
Right.
records law, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, if any of you have a particular question that you'd like to ask Pam or have her investigate, you would send her an email directly,
Individually.
yeah.
Okay.
Or find her
then-
at the library.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later.
Okay.
If we're gonna have a July 9th meeting, don't send it on July 8th. I'm just kidding.
Oh, realize-
And at the very least, it's at least a topic that is interesting to discuss as a board and as a library, you know, in what direction we want to go. And if we decide, you know, we decide that this isn't a good fit for us at this time, I totally understand too, but it does always bother me that sometimes when people come in and you can tell they're just very deflated that they can't participate anymore in checking out and whatever, and that they don't have the means to change their account around. Unfortunately, there's not a way to identify those people out of the whole list. So, but yeah, I'll be interested to see what you guys come up with. And
They can be a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be the whole amount at once, correct?
oh yeah, that's true. Totally true. Yeah, I mean, these terms can definitely change. It's just kind of what I was seeing other libraries do. So I just thought that would be a starting point, at least to get the discussion started, so.
I think it would be really helpful to know what would be the impact of not, I mean, you may never collect this $95,000, but what
Right.
would be the impact to budgets or collection replacements or any of the other kind of programs that you're offering because you don't have this $95,000? So if there's an opportunity cost here that we're, that's because we don't have this, that would be helpful, I think, for us to just evaluate, is it small enough that it's not going to have a significant impact on library services and what you're able to offer? Or is it a large enough amount that not getting it means you won't be able to do these other things?
Yeah, I can tell you right now that the latter is definitely not.
Okay.
It's not going to impact us. I mean, it's not money that we're expecting to collect anyway. So it's just money on the books, basically. But like Vera said, there is
There's a
an
moral
ethics part to it that is hard for some of us to wrap our head around to.
It seems to me that if someone comes in and they're in this position, that maybe it could almost be on an individual basis. It's not as though you're flooded with people coming in, on a daily basis who have these fines outstanding. So I'm wondering, is there some kind of a way that it could be dealt with on an individual basis, either forgiveness or 10% of it or something similar? Because the gals at the front desk are going to see these people. It's not as though they're going to slip through somewhere. They are going to see them. They are going to talk to them. So perhaps some kind of, I mean, you said yourself, you talk to some of these people and you know they can't afford to pay what they need to pay. You know, maybe there's some kind of arrangement that could be made on an individual basis. A thought.
I got one other thing. If this is 5 years or older, what does the 2 to 4 range look like?
What is the 2 to 4?
Yeah, last 2 to 4 years. Are we still having this high volume? Because maybe we should be looking at how to prevent this or steps to help
Okay.
work on that program too. Just kind of get an idea of where we're at. Are the numbers getting bigger? Are they getting smaller? Where are we looking at them? Because we have DVDs, more expensive stuff is getting bought. So is that why it's going to be more expensive? Because we're getting more expensive, you know, just how things
Maybe.
go in life. That's why I'm just going to get a grasp on that too.
That's a good point. Also, if the goal of forgiving these fines is to get those people back to the library, we would have to notify them that the fines have been forgiven, otherwise they would never know that they can come back to the library. So that's a cost in itself.
Right. Are you interested in my investigating what that cost would be?
No, I'm just,
It was a good comment, Vera.
It's
Thank
there.
you.
It's been said. It's on the
Yes,
I'm not
it's
putting
there.
more
I know,
work on
it is
it.
a- it is-
I'm just saying that
It is,
that's
yeah.
another consideration. Right.
I think it would be interesting to know, like, how many people come in that owe money and then have to leave. Like, that would be the best way to gauge.
Yeah, the only thing too, though, is I'm sure we have regular people that come in, they probably use the computer, and they probably know they have lost materials, and they don't even bother coming to the desk, because they know that they're not going to pay it.
So
So
you
you can
have
use
to
the computer
notify
even if
them.
you owe?
They can use, yeah, they
I
can,
didn't know that.
yeah, we have guest passes for the computer, so, so there might be people that came in today that, you know, we never knew.
Right.
Has anybody ever brought up these to the people that come up to the front desk, go, hey, you have a fine, I can't pay it, what are your thoughts on this? What, you know, what prevented you? So that way we kind of get an idea. Do you guys ever do follow-up questions or really stay out of it because it's personal?
Yeah, it gets
Out of their purview.
sticky.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Something.
I haven't,
I just like details, because if you don't know the details, you can't fix the problem.
I understand, but yeah, it's kind of personal, and I wouldn't feel real comfortable with our staff doing that, just,
Yeah, I just didn't know. if
but
somebody-
yeah, I
if
understand where
they
you're
do the
coming
same
from,
thing.
yeah.
Because you're stuck in a hard spot. You're like, I want to help you, but I don't know the information, so how do I help something I don't know?
Right. I know this is really tough, but I did want to bring it up and see if there was anything that would resonate with the group that could possibly work. But yeah, I totally understand that it's going to take some thought, and, you know, it's definitely a double-edged sword.
So we're tabling this until July.
Correct, yes, and if you have any
Question?
things you want me to consider or investigate, please email me.
Are there any future agenda items that anybody would like to add? Okay, then I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 7:39 PM.
All right.